Hey guys, glad you stopped by. Today we're going to bake some more cupcakes. I have been on a cupcake roll lately, mostly because people have been asking for them. And today a friend of mine asked if I could make them some Kit Kat cupcakes. His and her both. Their son had just graduated from a swimming program, and they're throwing a little get together for all the kids that passed the class, so to speak. And he wanted me to make some cupcakes, and he wanted me to make some Kit Kat cupcakes. Kit Kats are his son's favorite candy, and he thought, you know, let's see if I can get somebody, me, to make him some Kit Kat cupcakes. So why not? So I found a recipe. We're gonna see if it's gonna work. I'm gonna change it up a little bit, but not by much. I am gonna use the chocolate cupcake portion that they went with versus mine, but I'm gonna do the top a little different. But anyhow, we'll catch it as we go. So if you are new to my channel, this is your first video, I hope you get something out of it. If you are returning or one of our new subscribers, or an old subscriber for that matter, thanks for coming back, and thanks for subscribing if you have. If you haven't subscribed, think about it. You know, maybe, neighborhood's growing all the time. If you're looking for some place where you want to just share, good ideas for food and have some conversation, we all pretty much get along here. We are almost 3,600 strong, which is way more than I thought I would ever be. We are trying to hit 5,000 though by the end of the year. So liking, subscribing, sharing, hitting the notification bell, all that helps get us out there in the algorithm to help our neighborhood grow. And comments are always welcomed. All I ever ask is you be polite. It's okay to disagree with me or anybody else in the comments. Just think before you type. So that being said, I will give you all your measurements in cups, tablespoons, teaspoons, and I'll also give them to you in grams and milliliters. That way everybody can play along no matter where you're at and how you measure. So let's head on down to the counter and we'll start making these Kit Kat cupcakes. Hold on for me just 1 second. Okay, we are down here at the counter. So things you may need or will need to make this with: you will at least need a medium bowl, a sifter of some sort, a larger bowl, and a hand mixer or a stand mixer, or I suppose you could do this by hand because there's no butter to cream or anything like that. This is a butterless recipe. We're using oil instead of butter, so you could probably even get away with just a spatula. But I know my hands and my arm can't handle that anymore. Not that consistent churning. I am getting old, and it's starting to show at times. So first thing, scale is always helpful. I always recommend a scale because I think grams, when you use grams and milliliters, it's much more accurate and consistent than it is with cups, tablespoons, and teaspoons, at least for baking. Sometimes there's not a whole lot of leeway, and a little too much flour, or can make your whatever you're baking dry. A little too much cocoa can do the same thing. Heavy on the salt, you may taste it more than the rest. Just all kinds of stuff. So that being said, scale. At least a couple bowls, a scale, a sifter, and something to stir with, whether it's a spoon, a spatula, or a hand mixer, or a stand mixer. I'm going to use my stand mixer. So let me get this scale out of the way right quick here. And we will, and a recipe always helps, right? And I always hand write down my recipes, because a lot of times I'll take 3 or 4 recipes, throw them together to make one recipe. So it's easier for me to write them down. All right, so dry ingredients. I have medium bowl, and I have a sifter. And the first thing I'm going to add to this, as soon as I move my mouse, is 1.5 cups of just regular all-purpose flour, and that's 180 grams. We're going to put that in there. And to that, I am going to add 1/3 of a cup, 35 grams of cocoa powder, powdered chocolate. And then I am going to add 1 tablespoon of baking soda. I'm sorry, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. I've got them all in the same container right here. Sorry about that. teaspoon baking soda, half a teaspoon, 2 grams of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon, 2 grams of salt. That's 4 grams. So 4, 2, and 2, if anybody's keeping score. I am using kosher salt. Now with kosher salt, I don't know about you, but I haven't been able to find anything other than large, coarse, ground kosher salt in forever now. So if you use kosher salt, I recommend, you don't have to do this, that you grind it up a little bit, whether it be with the back of a spoon as you're using it, or all at once when you buy it. But if not, inevitably somebody is going to get a piece of salt that didn't dissolve, and it won't go through your sifter with being large. So we're gonna go ahead and get this sifted real quick. Okay, we got that sifted through. So I'm just gonna take my spatula real quick, get all the dust off the sides of the bowl, give this a good mix around, because sifting does not mix your dry goods, believe it or not. It could, I suppose, but it doesn't ever mind. And we want to make sure that's good and pretty decently blended. What sifting does is it inadvertently adds a little bit of air into the mix, which can help you with rise of your help your cupcakes or your cake rise or whatever. But it also ensures you get all the lumps out, right? So you have a smooth batter, no chunks. Because I'm here to tell you, cocoa powder and even flour, depending on your house, is it humid, is it not humid, but it can have little lumps in it too. As a matter of fact, everything you use can. Okay, so we got that done. Now I'm gonna get the mixer out and get some things straightened up here, and we can move on to our wet ingredients. Be right back. Okay, now we're moving on to wet. So one of the ingredients in this is buttermilk, and I usually use a powdered buttermilk to make my buttermilk with, because it lasts forever. So many times you'll go and get a quart of buttermilk and you'll use a cup of it, and then it sits in your fridge and goes bad. Buttermilk's not used in a whole lot of recipes, at least none that I have, and I have a lot of recipes. So I buy powdered. That way the powder can sit in the fridge and it's good for like 6 to 8 months, something like that. It's good forever. But I'm out of powder. I'm out of buttermilk. So we're going to do something that I've been wanting to try forever now, and that's we're gonna make our own buttermilk out of regular whole milk. So I have got a half a cup of just 180 milliliters of whole milk, and to this I am going to add some vinegar. It is 6 milliliters, 1.5 tablespoon, or geez, oh Pete, a half a tablespoon, 6 milliliters of just plain white vinegar like we used to can, and I am going to let this sit for like 5-10 minutes while we get all our other stuff together. Oh yeah, see, it's starting to curdle already, which is crazy. All right, so we'll let that sit, and while we're letting that sit, actually let's let that sit, and then when I come back we will start our wet ingredients. Okay, so it's been about 6-7 minutes, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see that, but it is no longer just regular milk. It is, pretty curdled, which is what we want. That's what buttermilk is, right? Buttermilk has an acidity in it, which will interact with the baking soda and the baking powder, helping to give it lift. If you've ever but if you've ever done your drains, like once a week I put baking soda and vinegar down my drains. It helps keep the drain lines clean. It also helps with like gnats that can pop up out of anywhere. There's several tricks for gnats, but that's keeping your drains clean is one of the more important ones. So every week, boom. But same principle applies in here. Vinegar and the acidity of buttermilk in general interacts with the baking soda and baking powder, and poof, you get lift. So that's why that little science lesson there. In my mixer, I have 1 cup, 200 grams of granulated sugar, just plain old white granulated sugar. To this, I'm going to pretty much add all my liquids at once, except for the egg. I have a half a cup 125 milliliters of coffee, and it's just plain black coffee. You know, you don't want to use iced coffee or anything like that. Warm to room temperature coffee. You don't want it to be blazing hot, fresh out of the pot. Then you'll end up cooking your egg. And then we are going to add a quarter cup, 63 milliliters of vegetable oil to this. And then I am going to add 1.5 teaspoons, 6 grams of vanilla. And last but not least, the star of the wet ingredients are half a cup, 180 milliliter of buttermilk. I'm sorry, 125 milliliters, same as the coffee, of the buttermilk. So now we're going to mix this on medium until it comes together and gets a little light and fluffy, I believe. Okay, I got that mixed till combined. I don't know why I said light and fluffy. There's absolutely nothing in there to be light and fluffy. Now I have got 1 large egg, 50 grams of egg, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this yolk up and just lightly scramble it. You know, just by breaking the yolk up, lightly scrambles it. And then with my mixer running, and I've got it on stir now, low, I'm going to go ahead and put my egg in there. Now I am going to beat this on medium speed for just a couple minutes. All right, we are good and combined there. You know, nothing big, nothing fancy. I am going to take my spatula though and just make sure, you know, everything's where it should be. I have found sometimes, especially with store-bought eggs, the whites don't always mix real well. And I find that so weird. And maybe it's just me, maybe it's something I'm doing wrong, maybe it's the eggs I'm buying, I don't know. But I know my fresh eggs that I buy for the house to eat with don't do that at all when I scramble them. So maybe it's something new to the egg industry. Maybe I'm just losing my mind. So now that we've got that good and make sure we're all mixed up and there's no sugar on the bottom and any of that, we're going to take our dry ingredients right here. Turn this bad boy on a low speed. If you don't, it will all shoot right back up in your face. And we're just going to slowly add in our dry ingredients. Okay, so we've got our dry ingredients in. So now we are going to go ahead and we are going to mix this on a medium speed, the halfway mark, and we're going to mix this for about 2 minutes. And that'll bring a bunch of air into it and give us the ability to have fluffy cupcakes. Okay, so we let her go for about 2 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and set my oven 350 degrees. Now, if you don't measure out your cupcakes, that's fine. You don't have to. You don't want to go any more than 2/3 full in the cup. But since I measure out my cupcakes and it takes a little bit of time, I don't start my oven until this point. If you don't measure out your cupcakes, go ahead and start your oven when you're mixing your dry ingredients together. I often forget to mention that, and that's more so just because of force of habit. So let me get this out of the way, and I'll show you how I measure my cupcakes, and then we'll get them in we'll get them in the oven. All right, hold on for me 1 second. Okay, so depending on the thickness of the batter, this batter is kind of thin. I got my scale right here. I've got 3 cups on there, so I can take my batter. I use a 1/4 cup measuring cup, dry cup, and I'll just pour them in there. And I've got this figured at 49 grams for each cupcake should give me 12 cupcakes. And then once I get the batter in there, you know, I can after I get these 3 filled, I'll just simply put them in the pie pan or in the cupcake pan, and then we can start baking them. If not, you can just use a spoon, you know, measuring cup to do it. I also have this, since it's runny, I can take this and fill it up, and all it is basically a cylinder with a really cool stopper on it that I can fill up, and then that way I can just pour it in from the bottom. This was probably the best thing that was ever given to me. My friend Kristen gave it to me. It was her mom's, and I use it all the time. It makes making cupcakes so accurate. So I can just go like that. See, and press that little handle right there, and it'll fill it up. So let me get these all filled up, and then we'll talk about how long to bake them for. Okay, so I got my cupcake liners filled. Now, as you can see, even though the recipe said it made 12, I got 15 out of it. Part of that is because I weighed when I weighed my ingredients and I added it all up, it said I should have 54 grams per cupcake liner. Let me, hold on a second for me. It said we should have 54 grams per cupcake liner, and I knew right off the bat that was going to be too much. My chocolate cupcake recipe is about the same consistency, and I can only put 47 grams per cupcake in it, per liner, and that takes me up to the 2/3 full mark. So that's what I did with these, and I ended up getting 15. So maybe this person who wrote this recipe uses a little bigger cupcake and gets a little bigger liners. The pictures that were on the with the recipe didn't show them muffin topping, you know, going out of the cupcake pan, so I don't know. But I know I followed a recipe to a T though, with these cupcakes, because I really wanted to try it, and it tastes great. Not that I actually tried any of it because it's got raw egg in it and you can't do that. But anyhow, let's go ahead and get these in the oven, and then we can talk about how long to bake them for. Okay, so the original recipe said to bake these for 13 minutes. Now, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, that was not long enough. So I'm going to check them at 13 minutes, toothpick test them, you know, put the toothpick in, pull it out. If it's just a little bit of crumb and nothing else, we're good. If it's still got batter to it, or they don't look done in any way, shape, or form at 13 minutes, I'm going to let them go to what I have grown to love as a time for my cupcakes, which is 19 to 22 minutes. And 22 on the high end. Most of my cupcakes are done about 19-20 minutes. So I will let you know what the verdict is when I get back. All right, I'll see you here in just 1 minute. Okay, so we just got it out of the oven, and I've got my timer set for 10 minutes, so that way I can take these out of the pan in 10 minutes. But there we are, and oddly enough, it did not take 19 minutes like a normal cupcake would. These only took 15. So then I'm gonna just take our toothpick, put it down in there. Now I tested them at 13 minutes, so I already have a hole in one of them. But as you can see, no crumb, and I'm testing the two center ones. And then the other thing I'm gonna look for is I'm gonna tap the top of them. They should be spongy, but not, you know, they should come back, you know, like a good firm mattress, or something like that. So I know they're good. So like I said, I'm gonna let these finish cooling for 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna take them out of the pans and let them finish cooling on that rack for half hour or so, maybe, if even that. So when I come back, these will be cool and we can start making our icing. All right, I'll see you here in just 1 second. Okay, so our cupcakes are cool to the touch. They've been sitting for about a half hour or so, ate lunch and then cleaned up and all that good stuff. But now we get to make the icing for it. So this icing is a buttercream icing that has a crushed up Kit Kats in it. So the first thing I did before I did anything else was I went ahead and I crushed up 6 individual Kit Kat bars right there. Just I used my meat mallet and a baggie and crushed them up. On top of those 6, I did an additional 4 that we're going to use, and then I took 6 more and I just cut them up into little chunks. That way we can put these on the very top of it. So in our mixer, I have 1 cup, 228 grams of unsalted butter. And the first thing I want to do with this butter, and it's softened. It's not quite room temperature. It's a little colder, but it's close. It's been out for about a half hour, 45 minutes. But I want to go ahead and cream this up. All right, so our butter is creamed. And I'll show you what I mean by creamed. And dare I even say light and fluffy. I usually want to reserve that for cakes, but there we are. See how it no longer resembles butter, really. It's not yellow anymore. It's nice and creamy, smooth, light in color. So light and creamy, I guess, would be the best way. I know with cakes, it's light and fluffy because you're usually involving sugar or egg or something of that nature. So now we just want to scrape down our bowl real quick, get all that butter back to center. And once we got that done, go ahead and clean off my spatula here. Put our paddle back on. We are going to add 2 teaspoons, 8 grams of vanilla extract, and 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of kosher salt into that, and then we're just going to mix this until it's combined. All right, we are combined, so go ahead and give ourselves a quick scrape real quick. And combined in this case means that you can't see the vanilla or the salt anymore. And you'll be able to tell. I mean, the butter will turn a vanilla color, so to speak. That it'll get that nice hue of that dark brown from the vanilla extract. So we'll get everything back to center again. That's kind of important. So now we have the kind of tedious job, but not really, of getting the powdered sugar put in. So I have 4 cups, 500 grams of powdered sugar. Now, you can sift your powdered sugar. If it's really clumpy, I'd almost recommend it. I don't. That's completely up to you. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to put this in 1 cup at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and put my first cup in, and then I'll get that started. I also have, this recipe called for 2 tablespoons of milk, or of heavy cream. I have 3 here, because what the milk does is it loosens it up, and we're putting this into a piping bag. So you'll want to make it to what you feel is a good amount. And I'll put 2 in, but if I don't feel it's proper, it's a little too dense for me, or my liking, I will add just a little bit more, a half a tablespoon, and then a 1/4 tablespoon, or whatever it takes till I get it to the consistency I want. Okay, so I've got 2 cups in there of powdered sugar, and we're looking a little dense. Now I'm running this on a medium-low speed, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it down to my low setting, and I'm going to go ahead and put about a tablespoon and a half of heavy cream in here. All right, so I just put, tablespoon, almost tablespoon's worth in there. So I'm going to do 1 tablespoon in. Yep, there we go. And then I'm going to get that mixed in. Then I'll put in my other 2 cups of powdered sugar, and then I'll add at least 1 more tablespoon of heavy cream, and I'll check it to see how it is real quick. Okay, so I got all 4 cups in, and I ended up putting in 2.5 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream, just because I like mine to be a little on the soft side. Now we are gonna fluff this icing. We're gonna aerate some air into it after I get this scraped down, and we have 1 more ingredient. So that will help a little bit, but it was just a little stiff for my liking. And you may not, it may take you a couple, 2-3 times of making icing for cakes and cupcakes and things like that to figure out what works best for you, your piping bag, the type of tip you're using. There's some variables to it, but now let's say you get to the point where your icing might be a little, not runny, but soft. like it's too warm, because that can happen with buttercream. Remember, you're using butter. You can stick it back in the fridge for a few minutes, and that will help firm it back up. I have that problem when I'm piping icing from where I hold it. Even when I'm just using one hand to pipe with. My hands, remember I said in a previous video, I've got hot hands, so my hands stay naturally warm. It has a tendency to really loosen up that icing if I'm not careful. All right, so we've got all that in there. I'll quit talking. And now I'm gonna take those 6 individual Kit Kat bars that I had that I crushed up. I'm gonna put those in there. And we're just gonna start this out on low to get these in, low to medium, to get those incorporated, and then I'm gonna kick this bad boy up to high for about 30 seconds to get some air in there and fluff it up. Okay, we got our icing done, and here is where we stand right now with that. And it's got a nice little fluff to it. It's not very dense. Got some air into it. That's what we wanted. So I'll go ahead and set that down for a second, because the first thing I want to do is take that other set of Kit Kats that I broke up, and I am just going to sprinkle these just all willy-nilly on top of my cupcakes. I just didn't feel that it had enough Kit Kat in it, and this young man really likes Kit Kat. So, and don't worry, my hands are clean, and so is the counter. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and get our icing into a piping bag. Now I use a giant cup to put my piping bag in. I can do it by just wrapping it around my hand, but I find it so much easier to just use a cup, especially since I have a tall cup. It's actually Chris's, and it used to have the Grinch on it in a lot better shape than this one. But, you know, it is ancient and been around for a minute. Okay, so I got the piping bag full, and I got those coated with the some icing. I got these coated with the, you know, a light coating, a sprinkling, if you will, with some openness to it, with the Kit Kat, crushed Kit Kat bars. So now we're just going to pipe this on, and I guess before I do that, well, here, I'll show you here in a second. Hold on. I am just using a standard round tip on that. So all I'm going to do is run this around our cupcakes real quick. Okay, so our next step, now that we got them iced, I made some milk chocolate ganache. Now I'll leave the ingredients and how to make it down in the description down below with the rest of the recipe. But it's essentially 6 ounces of milk chocolate chips to 3 ounces of heavy cream. You put the milk chocolate chips in a bowl. You heat the heavy cream. I do it in the microwave because it's never enough to actually justify dirtying a pan for it, or a pot for it. And I heat it for 45 seconds. That gets it hot enough that I just dump it over the milk chocolate chips, walk away from it for 2-3 minutes, and then I start in the center and real slowly with a fork I swirl until I start to see chocolate sauce, and then I work my way out. That's it. But like I said, I'll leave the directions for that on the way down in the description. So I let it cool down to room temperature. Now I'm just going to take some of it and I'm going to drizzle it on top. So then, now that we got our drizzle on there, I'm going to take those chopped up Kit Kat bars, and I'm just going to place them on the top here and kind of press them in a little bit so they stay. Okay, so our cupcakes are done. We went ahead, I got all of them topped off with the bits of Kit Kat there. And then I had a little bit of the crushed Kit Kat left, so I went ahead and sprinkled those on there. If I can get that to focus. Just that way we had something beautiful, you know. It had just that little extra something, I think. So what we'll do now is what we should be doing, and that's giving one a try, right? So let's first, I don't know about you, but when it comes to cupcakes, peel factor is everything, right? So, you know, as I peel this off, I'm looking for stuff. I'm looking to see, does it stick? you know, other than the chocolate falling off the sides. It didn't quite stick to the cupcake. But, you know, how's that wrapper look? See how that wrapper looks? You know, not any chunks sticking off of it. Just one big, beautiful cupcake, right? That's all we really we're looking for, you know, and that's my opinion, you know. And then yeah, you know, I don't want to see the sides tear off. I don't want to see big chunks of cupcake in my wrapper. That's how I know I did it right. And some of that comes from making sure you're 2/3 full on that cake liner, that cupcake holder, and not over baking. Those are the two things. So anyhow, that being said, let's give this a try. It's horrible, absolutely horrible. I don't think that anybody else in the house, Chris or Abby, either one are going to get these other two. I will sacrifice myself. That is amazing. I'm not gonna lie, it's amazing. Even though there is not a single Kit Kat in that chocolate cup part of the cake part of the cupcake, you wouldn't know. I can still taste, and if you can see, I didn't bite into either one of those. Every bite, oh, the only two I've taken so far, it tastes just like a Kit Kat bar. Holy cow. I think his son will be very pleased with this. That is, if you even remotely like Kit Kat bars, or you just like a really good cupcake that's not hard to make, right here it is. Yeah. You guys need to give this one a try. Hands down. Sorry, I had to throw my wrapper away. You're not going to be disappointed. I'm always a huge fan of baked goods that represent candy bars or candies in general. And that is an amazing representation of a Kit Kat bar. It's very, very good. I'm probably gonna have to make another dozen just so I can have a couple more and I can take some to work, because I know the minute they see the pictures of these online, they're gonna be like, Brian, where's our cupcakes? That happens to me almost every week. So that being said, give these a try. Let me know if you do. Quick, easy, you know, might take you 40 minutes including bake time to whip these together real quick. I don't think it'll take me that long if I have to make another dozen, or 15 as the case may be. But even if it does, it's okay. It's well worth it. Well worth it. Leave me a comment down below if you do. You know, I'd be very curious to see, you know, what you think, or if you have something, you know, that you do that you may want to share with the world, or just let us know. I love to have conversation, you know, especially through the comments or even on Facebook when I'm on there, which is only a couple, 2-3 times a week, but I try. But that being said, I don't know if we're gonna do any canning yet, mostly because my stocks are depleted, and the only thing I have, we could do white chili beans, but I still haven't done those yet. But pretty much my stocks of stuff to be able to can are depleted. I usually wait until I build up stuff and then can it and go. And until things get changed around a little, that's probably not going to happen on that front. But the garden is coming along nicely. We're already starting to pull jalapenos, and have pulled our first 6 zucchini of the year. That's kind of nice. I was able to give 3 of them to a friend, which is always good. So either way, next week for dinner, I'm not sure. Dessert, not sure either, but I'm sure it'll be something that hopefully is wonderful, tasty, delicious, probably not very healthy, but will definitely fill your soul, fill your heart, fill your belly. make you want to make friends, all that kind of good stuff. So till next week, I love you. I love you very much, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else that you love them and that you love them very much. They may need to hear it. It's going to make them smile either way. It's going to make you feel good on the inside and probably smile too. You make them some of these cupcakes, these Kit Kat cupcakes, I guarantee they're going to smile. You're probably going to make a friend for life. And there's enough there that, you could each have a couple, and you probably give one to the mailman, a couple to the neighbors, maybe that family walking down the street. Wouldn't that be awesome? Family walking down the street, give each one of those kids a cupcake and go, here you go. By the way, my name is blah, blah, blah. Or rekindle a relationship from past, with a neighbor or somebody 3 doors down or whatever. Who knows? Possibilities endless. But till next week for dinner, I love you, and I'll see you then. All right? See you later. Bye-bye.